This fall, the Sandman, Adam Sandler, You're My Best Friend Tour.
I feel like we're very good friends now.
Casey Center, Saturday, October 4th. Get tickets now at HiVTix.com.
We recommend listening to the CW Pod with a glass of Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Grown, distilled, well-rested, and bottled in Erling, Iowa. Now from the Channel Seed Studios, this is the CW Pod, fueled by Steeple Ridge.
Hello, it's game week officially for everybody who's listening. It was game week last week for the Cyclones, of course, but week one, it feels a little more real now because there's every other game going on in the country. Excited for today's CW Pod. Prideful moment for me is one of my good buddies made a big announcement today, and he knows a lot about football, so we'll bring in Jeff Woody here in just a couple of minutes. Want to thank our friends at Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Actually, it's funny, I had a guy today who's new on the Iowa State beat, and he asked me when we were walking out to our vehicles where he could find Steeple Ridge Bourbon. I'm not making that up. And I said, you can find it anywhere here in the great state of Iowa, specifically in central Iowa. It's literally everywhere I look. Steeple Ridge Bourbon. If you're new to whiskey and you want to try it, try the white label. I prefer the black label. That is my all-time favorite. A little bit more bite, but support a great locally owned company. My friend Pat Hoffman, everybody out in Erling, Iowa. Southwest Iowa, baby. Repping the 712, our friends at Steeple Ridge Bourbon. We are in the Channel Seed studio. Looking forward to going out to their tailgate before the Iowa State game on Saturday and meeting and saying hello to all my friends who are great Channel Seedsmen around the state of Iowa. And let's do it. Let's bring in Jeff Woody, who announced today. It was announced today that Jeff is, here you go, buddy, ESPN. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
We made it.
He finally made it after all these years of grinding. You did all the Drake games on ESPN Plus. You've been obviously hanging out with us at Cyclone Fanatic, which I hope you stick around. Hope you stick around Cyclone Fanatic and don't be a stranger.
You guys can eat it. I am so above you now. I don't even think about no.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, whatever. I admire you for saying that.
It's it's fun, and I went through it. I just kind of posting it. I'm really only on LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. Like, I only have an account. I honestly don't know if I still have an Instagram account or not.
I thought you were off Twitter.
I have an account, and I will check it. Like, I'll log in to just see if I've received like any messages, because it is one place that you can actually receive a message from a stranger, for better or for worse. And so if some there was one time I got a Oklahoma State radio network. They messaged me on LinkedIn or on X to see if I was willing to do a radio spot for them. So yeah, so like every once in a while, like maybe once a week, I'll go in and just check and see if I've missed anything. So I still have the account, but X, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and all of them are very different. And the one that I posted with the kind of the longest descriptor of it was actually on LinkedIn, because it had the most room for me to put the context that I wanted to without everything getting lost. And the first person I had to thank on that LinkedIn post was Chris Williams.
Oh, that's sweet of you.
And the reason why is because there is, throughout this journey, I kind of the main thing I wanted to do as far as like thanking people was that broadcasting is literally not a solo endeavor. Even you in the early days, when like you're recording and posting everything, that's about as close as it gets. But you have a broadcast partner, or you have a network, or you have someone on the camera, or you have somebody in the production truck. There's somebody there that's doing something with you. And so like in 2013 or 2012 Pro Day was the first time I had said, hey, I think this could be something I would like to do. And it was just something that, I don't know, I like talking and figured I might be able to do it. And you said, all right, let's give it a shot, see what happens.
Start a podcast.
And I started doing something with Stans, I think the summer after I got done playing. It would have been football season of 2014. And this is now 2025, football season 2025. So we're going on 11 years. And this is, first shot was on Cyclone Fanatic. The next shout out I actually had to give was Lance and BJ and Pat with MC22, where, for those that don't know, Lance Herbold, Pat Hurley, and then BJ Shaban just comes in and does a lot of play-by-play. But Lance and Pat are fantastic. Like that was
Old
my first
school. They've been there forever, just grinding. They do a great job.
And doing high school games on, cable access high school games. But that was my first experience. And even now doing Drake stuff, doing everything else, Lance and Pat, like they have it down, and there's like actual production. So getting kind of shots at little things. The other one kind of getting a first shot was John Schaefer when he was a sports director at Channel 5. That was the first kind of weekly show that I got to do in studio. And then I had a picture of me and Larry Morgan doing an Iowa Barnstormers game from
so great,
2015.
That's so cool.
And
Larry
then
Morgan's an icon, man.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just so many people that like I am grateful that I had the opportunity to do. And then there's also people like Ray Cole who introduced me to a bunch of different people. And I mean, Ray's the man. I think he's been on the CW pod before.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a regular guest.
Ray is the man. And
love Ray.
I think one of the things that I really appreciate from somebody like Ray is both the connections, but also the truth. That's saying this isn't good enough. That needs to be better. You can do X, Y, and Z. And so there's constantly like a coaching and a push and a pull with it of being a way to make a connection, to get in front of this person, to get your highlight in front of your resume in front of this person, and being able to kind of connect all the way through. So just so many people that I'm very grateful that it happened. So like the stars aligning to get here. So yeah, here's the photo. Is that the LinkedIn one?
That's you and Admire right there. Yep.
Yeah. And check that out. Check that out. For those that are audio only.
Yeah.
I think
lost a little weight since there, buddy.
I think Brent is 13 in that picture. That's us doing the sideline report, which was on MediaCom.
I'm actually blown away, but do I need to be on LinkedIn? Do I need to be like I didn't know that like people were doing this on LinkedIn. Like maybe I need to. Gosh.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny, Jeff, because I'm putting my book out in November, and I was going through because there's going to be like a photo excerpt thing in the middle, and there's one of you, me, and Bloom from a Cyclone Fanatic pregame show that we did, and that's got to be right after that. Did you start hopping up? Because I remember when you played, your dad would always come, and he would sit in the front row and watch us. And your dad would just hang out with me, and like me and Tron Smith from Wilson Toyota.
Oh yeah,
got it. Good, but you're a good guy. People want to help you out. Like people, and you're talented. There's a reason why when you guys were losing to Baylor by 70, they would trot you out there because you're a good talker. But there's an aspect of this though. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it'd be fun to. I know this is the case with talk radio. Now, I can't do what you do as an analyst, but there's a real skill to it, to each of our disciplines. Like a lot of people think that they could do a 3-hour talk show, but maybe you could go 15 minutes where it's good, and then you kind of stammering the rest of the way. Like you have to learn how to do that. The trick for you, and I've watched your Drake games. You probably don't know this, but I'm your biggest fan, other than your old man probably, but. The trick that I always thought that you were going to have to learn the most was to limit what you're saying, because you're a long talker, and right, like, and that's something you've gotten really good at, is to be able to give a concise thought, and maybe you have 10 seconds in between plays. It kind of depends on the team you're watching too, right? Because the tempo and all that stuff. But you've really taken in the reps to get to this point, which is why I commend you so much, because it's not easy. Like this has not been an easy road for you, and I couldn't be more happy for you. Thank you.
And yeah, that is kind of the number one problem I have in any media thing, is I talk too much and too fast. And it's that like my brain gets in front of my mouth. And that is one of the things that when I was talking and trying to get to an ESPN, to a Fox, to something, that was one of the things that Ray had talked about as far as a feedback to me, is like, you got to slow down. Like there is too much going on, because I showed him my resume reel and he was like, that's too fast. Like if that's the best that you have, what I'm looking at that is I can't keep up. That thing needs to be slower and more concise. So if I'm talking on a podcast like this is more conversational.
Yeah.
I can speed it up. I can slow it down. It doesn't really matter that much. But when you're at a game, I think another shout out that I have to give is Andy Garman. And Andy, when he was the sports director at Channel 8 or KCCI in Des Moines, for those that aren't in the Des Moines area, that was actually the first TV thing that I ever did, just for anybody. It was like a Cyhawk pregame special in 2014. It was before I actually got a weekly show with Channel 5. It was anything. And so I was really nervous to do any live TV. And one of the things that Andy had said is he goes, you need to say something that a coach might not know in a way that your grandmother would understand. And so you need to take this high level concept and bring it down to an area that everybody would understand it. And the way that I like to describe or use an example to give someone an idea of what that is, I have a few favorite of analysts or color commentators, and I would say Chris Collinsworth would be like top of the list as far as who I think does it the best. And the reason why I think he does it the best is the same reason why people will hate on Chris Collinsworth, because he's so good at his job that he makes you think that you know more than you do. That when he has a conversation, or he's going to pull a replay, and the production truck gives him something that's like a guard, and saying like, man, here's a guy, and like that thing. When he does all that, all he's doing is bringing some excitement to the broadcast, but making something that is pretty complex, like interior offensive line play or safety play, anything on the field is really complex, but distilling it so simply that you thought you already knew it before it happened. Like that's what a really good analyst does. And then you think of like the Romos of predicting what's going on. The thing that Romo does a really good job of is preparing ahead of time and knowing the teams better than like the opponent knows them. And so that's just kind of the stuff that goes into it. So being able to slow down like took a lot of work, because I have all these things that I think people need to know, but if I say all these things at the same time and you can't catch them, then I'm really not doing anything at all. So like it took a while to actually be able to have a broadcasting pace different than a conversational pace. But you're right, it's a totally different thing. And part of the work that goes into it is if I'm doing Drake games, if I'm doing high school games, no offense to high school teams, but there's a pretty limited playbook. Like I don't really need to study anything to watch a high school game, because you're probably not running a full field read with your quarterback, or you're probably not running a check with me blitz on your defensive side. So I don't really need to study much. And Drake, the advantage, so for the past 3 years I've done Drake with Michael Admire, and I know Drake, so I just need to spend time figuring out who the opponent is, because I don't have to prep Drake at all. Now I'm going in, and so the teams that I have this week are Arkansas Pine Bluff at Texas Tech. So going into it's still really cool to see.
6:30 kick, baby.
7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central.
I know
ESPN
what I'll be
Plus.
watching.
The first 6 minutes of that game, but
actually you really do have. I'm sorry, you have one of the most interesting teams in college football.
I know, and that's the fun part. But knowing, so Arkansas Pine Bluff, 8 of their 10 offensive linemen are new. Their quarterback is new. They returned both running backs. They lost a wide receiver named Giovanni Walker, who is All-American FCS, transferred to Oklahoma, NIL, got rid of. So they lost their top passer, their top receiver, 8 of their 10 offensive linemen, a coordinator. What do they look like? So I have to put all these pieces together of where they're going to go. Now the offense coordinator's the same, defense coordinator's new, but I have to put all these pieces together. And God, Texas Tech, they're going to have 60% of a new roster. So all this stuff has to go into it. So it's probably 6 to 8 hours a team of film, of just watching film. Then
how do you do it with these teams with all the transfers, though? Like, because it's funny, I was talking to Haycock about this today at John Haycock's press conference, and Iowa State's in a little bit of a same deal. It's like you're playing this FCS team that has a good history, but they have a ton of transfers, and they only bring like 4 guys back, like on the defensive side of the ball specifically. But it does make the game 1 prep pretty difficult. No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so
even Texas Tech, you only know so much about them.
Especially Texas Tech. So with Texas Tech, their offensive coordinator, Mac Leftwich, came from Texas State. So if you're watching general film, or just what's the feel, what's the team going to look like, you have to take what was Texas Tech last year, which was Baron Morton at quarterback, And then you kind of got to marry that with what Texas State does, and it's going to be kind of the offspring of those two. Is what does Barron Morton do well, and what did they do last year, and what did Texas State do, and what? But you kind of got to guess, and you have to sort of prepare yourself. Like your call sheet and your depth chart is way longer for a Week 1 game than it is for a Week 6 game, because you know even if it's going to be a blowout, you know more or less what you're expecting. Defensively, though. They have Texas Tech has a new defensive coordinator who's actually his name is Steeple Woody. He comes from Houston, so it's Houston's defense.
Yeah, so you're just watching them at their previous stop.
You're just watching Houston. For that one, you're just watching Houston, especially because that system is totally new. And we can get more into Texas Tech, but Texas Tech's defense might be the best in the conference, and it's going to be one of the best in the country.
Okay. Well, I want to get your thoughts on Iowa State, too, because we've actually seen them play. But I did this. I did CW 2 weeks ago, Aiden, where I gave my best bets.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, Aiden.
Texas Tech plays. I'm going to take Texas Tech at plus 600 to win the Big 12. I am also playing their over at 8.5. Why am I landing here? Texas Tech to me might be the most interesting college football team I have ever seen heading into a season. You have a coach that is on the hot seat. You have a multi-billionaire booster who is trying to buy his way to a national championship and completely blow up the system at the exact same time. Millions upon millions of dollars that have been pumped into this roster, and yet they didn't upgrade their quarterback. Fascinating across the board. To me, their talent, scholarship 1 to 85, is the best in the Big 12 conference. Of course, there is the caveat of what happens if it doesn't go well. What happens if they lose a couple of games in September? In a really weird way, I like the fact that they upgraded across the board and kept their quarterback. I think Texas Tech, in their own sicko way, are playing a little bit of money ball here. This could be a boom or bust situation, but I'm going to roll with the talent, and I don't think Joey McGuire is a bad coach. Truly a Big 12 championship or bust, college football playoff or bust situation. Will the pressure be too much? I'm saying that their talent will outweigh that.
What do you think of that?
That is a pretty similar take to what I have. I think it feels to me like there's less drama than that, at least as of right now, because are they going to be good? So let's break down. I've watched a lot of Texas Tech just to be ready for this game, and I will say I have to get down some of the names. I've got the numbers down, but like you have to convert. Like number 2 is Barron Morton. Like that, you have to say Barron Morton on the broadcast, not number 2.
The older I get, the now I understand why you guys in football go 88.
Yeah, 17 can play, man, or whatever it is.
Campbell's press conference today, I referred to Ezeagu as 88.
88 can play, man. It's long arms.
I get why you guys do that now.
I don't want to have to memorize names week after week.
Yeah, and then there's like so many different players incoming and stuff. It's just, but anyways, okay.
So I still got to get names down. So defensively, what did they do? They went out and got Romello Height. I think I forget David is a transfer from Stanford. Crazy athlete. He's on every watch list. They got Lee Hunter, who is from UCF, who's a defensive tackle, and they brought over the best interior defensive lineman from Houston. So of the guys that started last year at Texas Tech, very few of them actually transferred out the defensive line. They're now just backups or third stringers because they brought in an entirely new defensive front four. Rodriguez is their best linebacker. He was essentially, he had to fight off a block every single play. That's why he's kind of preseason picked as one of the defensive players of the year. First team all Big 12 preseason. So Rodriguez having to fight over everything. Now he doesn't have to do that because you're going to have a defensive front four. That's going to be really, really good. Sheil Wood took Houston and made Houston a top 25 defense because that scheme is inherently confusing. It's technically a 3-3-5, but they almost always have 4 down. And even if they're running a 3-down line front, they'll still have 2 on each side, which is called an even front. So how do you take 3 guys and put 2 on each side? So it's where you start running into these weird fronts that offenses can't really predict that well, and then you add talent to that. So it's going to be a really, like that defense, I don't think there is a way that defense is bad. So when you have a team, like look at Utah last year, their offense was awful, but their defense and special teams were still really good. So if your defense and special teams are really good, you give your offense a chance to be in the game and win that game. Now let's flip the other side of the ball. That is where my questions with Texas Tech lie, and that's where some of the pressure may actually exist. So Taj Brooks was their all Big 12 running back last year. Really good. He got 30 carries a game. They replaced 3 of their offensive linemen, and so now you have 3 new offensive linemen. Taj Brooks is now in the NFL, so this running game is completely retooled. The guy they brought in, his name is Quentin Joyner. He came as a transfer from USC, tore his ACL in camp. So now you're down Taj Brooks. You're down the guy that's going to replace Taj Brooks, and you're out 3 different offensive linemen with meshing new pieces together. Are they going to be able to run the ball or not? Baron Morton might be throwing the ball 35 times a game. In situations where that works, they're going to kill teams.
Yeah.
In situations where that doesn't, are they going to be able to move the ball enough to win the game? I don't know. We'll see. I think the first test of that is going to be in Salt Lake City. They play their first Big 12 game is at Utah. So that to me is going to be where you sort of see what Texas Tech is. But that defense is going to be dirty. It's going to be so hard to move that front 4 to run the ball. Quarterbacks will have to beat that team because they will stop everything on the ground.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I don't know. I think McGuire's a pretty good coach too. Like I really do. I think that's been a weird job for anyone not named Mike Leach.
And he's a weird guy for a weird job.
He is, but he's perfect because he comes from Baylor, and that place is weird, right? Like I it's just
yeah.
I feel like he's better than most people think. All right, well, so Jeff is going to be calling Big 12 games, right? Or are you going to be? But will you be exclusively calling Big 12 games? Do you know that yet, or is it a week-to-week thing? Or
so my games this year, when I was talking to the coordinating producer, which is the guy who essentially assigns everybody to go wherever they're going to go, their goal for me is to get 5 to 7 games during the regular season, and then maybe FCS playoffs at the end of the year, depending on who's available, who's not. I assume how good I do during the season.
Yeah,
if
you
they
got to
want to
work
give
your way up the ladder now.
Right.
You got your in, and now you got to work your way up.
Exactly. So 5 to 7 games, and he said they're going to try and keep me in the Big 12, but there might be a CUSA game or an American Conference game they push me over to, and that all kind of depends. I have my first 3-week assignments, so I for sure have at least 3 games, but it all kind of depends. So let's say it's week 5.
Do you have the same play-by-play guy?
For the first 2, and then a new one for the 3rd. So let's say there's 7 games in the Big 12. There's 2 teams that have a bye. So there's 7 games to playing each other. And Fox picks up 2 Big 12 games on Fox Sports and Big Fox. And then
a little draft.
And then let's say ESPN, there's Iowa State's playing, I don't know, Iowa State, Arizona State. And ESPN, they want to send Herb Street to that game. Well, then that puts a national Big 12, or then it puts a national broadcast, and Fox has 2 of them, which then pushes your kind of lower levels, the me's of the world. It pushes us down a peg, so I might not have a game that week. But let's say Fox only takes 1 of the Big 12 games, ESPN doesn't send any national guys to the conference, then that means during that week there's more lower tier, myself, not Kirk Herbstreit, there's more of us that are available to take, so those will be the games that I would be able to get. So depending on, like, I probably won't know until 6 to 12 days if I have a game and how much or where that game is during the year, just expecting somewhere between 5 and 7 throughout the year.
CW Pod, Iowa Everywhere. Jeff Woody is my guest this week.
Thank you for resetting it, by the way, because this is people are definitely tuning into a podcast halfway.
Yeah, but that's the old radio guy in me. It's funny because it's like, that's why I like podcasting so much, because the one thing I sucked at when I did radio, and in Des Moines it doesn't really matter, right? Like, but we would always have these program directors who would like want us to reset the show, like, and you're supposed to, like, because people are getting in and out of the car.
Yeah.
I get it, like, and you do that, but they would want us to like do basically 15 minutes of talk, take a break, and then go back to the same topic and hit it again, and like, and I get it because there's different audiences tuning in, but with podcasting,
it's transient. Yeah,
I love podcasting because it's like the people here, like there might not be as many of them, like, because you're not going to get X driving, in a car, like whatever, like but they seek you out and they're so much more engaged. So I can just be unauthentically, I can just be completely unapologetically authentic
and this is the perfect medium for me. And when you were talking about like all the different things that you've done, you've gotten all these reps though, because you've done podcasting, you've done pregame shows, you've done analyst stuff, and it's all different. Like you have to, it's a different, you own a gym. It's all like working different levels of your, like not every arm exercise is working the same muscle.
Right.
Look at me doing the Jeff Woody analogy. What in the hell is going on? It's we're in totally different.
I'm so proud of you, Chris.
Bizarro world here.
I'm so proud of you.
And you used to be my own trainer too, and then that didn't go well.
Yeah, and then did you move to Bondurant?
And then I quit going to you, and I started losing weight.
Well, that's what happens. You just quit doing anything smart, and you just go on that testosterone.
Yeah, man. I love the tea. At some point, you're going to need it.
Yeah, hopefully it's pushed back by a good diet when I was like 25, as opposed to having to get on that train later. But nature waits for no man.
You know why? Honest to God, the reason I've been able to lose the weight is the whiskey. Stop drinking all that craft beer all the time and just drink the whiskey.
If you're gonna get loaded classy.
I love craft beer too. But everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
That's really the key, because if you keep yourself from anything, I love a good hazy IPA. I love them. If I just have one of them like a week, then it keeps me from, like, if you love Chinese food but you're trying to lose weight, like it is good to give yourself a reward. Now we're talking weight loss, I guess.
I was thinking of
totally all over the board here.
You were talking food, and I was thinking another thing I'm excited about is, so like the first game being in Lubbock, the only time that I was in Lubbock was you fly down, you drive to the hotel. You drive from the hotel. Yeah, there was literally a tumbleweed that went across the tarmac. Then you go from the airport to the hotel. You go from the hotel to the stadium. You go from the stadium back to the airport. And that route is not exactly glamorous in Lubbock. But I've heard that some people really like Lubbock, and I've heard that some people hate Lubbock.
I love Lubbock.
I want to get some Tex-Mex in Lubbock.
Yeah.
I mean, because
that's the best part of traveling.
Like that's like going to those places and getting like the specific foods that they're known for. Like I'm sure the play-by-play guy Ted Emmerich that I'm doing the game with, he's from Dallas, and he's done a lot of stuff with Texas Tech. So I'm gonna get some advice from him, like where is the best. Like I want a breakfast burrito done really well, and then something Tex-Mex at lunch, and then probably 6:30 kick. I'll probably be at the stadium at 2:30, just to make sure that everything's up and running. I can see warm-ups and stuff like that. So I need to get like actual food recommendations while I'm out traveling.
I'm excited for this because whenever Hassel does these games, basketball, football, whatever, he's on CBS Sports Network a lot. I always watch him, and I'll do that with you. And it'll give me reasons to like study up on these like just kind of obscure games that maybe I wouldn't watch. Like I love doing that. It's a sicko. I love the college football, right? Like I'm the guy who I'm more excited about the obscure Friday night game that's like on CBS Sports Network kicking off at 9:00 than I am the NFL game on a Thursday. But that's just who I am.
And that's
I love it.
Love it. I think that the fun part to me too, because I'm kind of the same way. Like when I'm prepping for this game so far, like I got ESPN has a film system that just like so you can actually know what you're talking about. You can just access. I think teams are required.
Got the whole library.
It's literally every team's every play for the last 4 years.
Wow.
And so,
oh, that's so cool.
So I'm sitting out on the deck and it's 72 degrees and I'm watching film and I'm technically not getting paid at the moment. I have to do the game before I get paid, but I'm like, I'm getting paid to watch film. Like that's so cool. And I'm watching.
What you wanted to do, man.
I know. I'm watching SWAC football. I'm watching Arkansas Pine Bluff versus Grambling, and like that, like. The fact that I get to study that is just great.
This is me talking, not Jeff. Jeff, you can't, when you call a game, you can't make picks and stuff. Against that Tech defense, if I would put the over-under on points for Pine Bluff at 2.5.
Man, I can't make picks.
I know I'm not asking you to make a pick. I'm just saying those boys are going to have a hard time on. But anyway, we don't need to break that.
Yeah. And a lot of teams are going to have a hard time against Texas Tech.
Tech's really good. I'm a believer. I really am.
And Joey McGuire is really nice. You know what else I'm excited to see?
Have you talked to Joey yet?
No, we have a production meeting is at 12:30 on Friday. So we're going to go Joey and then coordinator, a couple players.
So when do you fly out? You fly out the Thursday before the game?
5:15 a.m. on Friday. Okay. And then land at about 10 o'clock
Man,
Friday.
I'm so excited for you.
I know. I'm pumped.
This is going to be great.
I'm pumped.
All right, Iowa State with the win. We'll get to some Big 12, an actual Big 12 game. Man, I've watched the game 3 times now. Well, in person, and then I watched it once, just the regular broadcast, and then I zipped through it the third time. And you know what I was really impressed with was the offensive line in the second half. I think that Carson Hansen was great, but there were a lot of holes. Like I felt like Iowa State on both sides of the ball wore down Kansas. Dom Orange, and John Haycock told me this today in his press conference, because I asked him, I said, was this like a different level of Dom Orange? Because it looked like it to me. And he's a guy that if you don't know what you're looking for, it's hard to realize how brilliant he can be. But Haycock said today that he was taking on 3 blockers. For like 2 is really good. Like, you're really happy if that guy's taking on 2. John said he was taking on 3. So, like, I don't know. It's one game. I'm not going to crown anyone, but I think they're pretty good. I think they're borderline elite at linebacker. I think you've got a really good quarterback, top 3 in the conference. Tight end, kind of like the linebackers, you may be the best in the conference. Wide receiver, I think that we're still learning what Iowa State can be there. Same with the secondary with those young guys. There was clearly some leaks that they've got to get fixed up. But if give me the inside out, I was really impressed, both sides of the line. It started a little leaky for the offensive line, but man, by the end of the game, they were just they had established dominance over a really good D line.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that kind of just general reactions that I have to the game. The first thing that kind of jumps out is, as far as week 0 is concerned, it was actually really sharp. And I'm going to say, like, I don't know if you paid attention or if you fast forwarded when you were rewatching it to Chris Kleiman's interview right before he went to halftime, is I wanted to give Chris Kleiman a hug when he said the reporters, because the commentators and the guys in studio said, like, a little bit of a sloppy start to the game, and whatever, back to you. And so the reporter then used that same phrasing, because that's what the perception of, that's what a sideline reporter should do, is what is the perception, ask the source. And so she asked a little bit of a sloppy start to the game, and his response was, there's some pretty good defenses, let's credit them. And the contrarian in me thought, if this was Ohio State versus Alabama, are we going to say this is a sloppy game, or are we going to say, man, that weather must have really impacted the play? Like, that to me feels like, let's take the 4-inch rough that they're playing on with the rain and the mud and whatever. Let's take that and just kind of push that off to the side for a bit, because the weather conditions made it bad. But outside of that, it was really sharp. It was really well executed. Kansas State's going to make plays. They just do that. Like, they're going to do that against, they might lead I think it's going to be Baylor, Texas Tech, and Kansas State are going to lead the conference in explosive plays. They just what they do. So your goal is, if you played a perfect game, they're going to get 2 of those. Whether it's an Avery Johnson run or Dylan Edwards, if he was able to stay healthy, or a big pass, they're going to do that. But it's really, really sharp. So that's first thing, number 1, is a super sharp week 0. Second thing, regarding the sharpness of it, defenses will always come around first, because defense is built on reaction. So you need less practice against somebody else to react. You need to dictate with your offense. And so everyone needs to be on time. Like a quarterback throws to open space and the running back gets there. You have to trust that wide receiver is going to get to that space. So if I don't rehearse that enough, or I don't know what it feels like, I'm going to be a little bit off, versus fill a gap, tackle. That's where you're doing defensively. So the first half of every game in week 1, except for these hugely mismatched games, if it's a close matchup game, it's probably going to be either broken plays that lead to scores or really low scoring first half. So it just kind of is. So offense came around really quick. offense executed, team was pretty sharp, and the way I like to describe good offense and good defense is square peg, square hole. What do we have, and how can we use what we have to the most that they can do? You got 4 tight ends that are absolute dudes. Like 87, I didn't know where 87 came from. Was it Alexander? Is that his last name? Was it Cooper?
Yeah, Cooper Alexander.
Cooper Alexander.
He would have played last year, but he was a little bit dinged up, so they ended up redshirting him. But they think that he could be the guy who just fills right in for Bramer. Love him.
He is a dude, and they
love him.
You got Moore, you got him, you got Bramer, and you got Burkle. So they use those guys in a bunch of different ways to just be the term multiple is kind of thrown around too much. And what multiple just means is, can I do multiple things with the same people? Like, can I keep these 14 personnel or 13 personnel with one wide receiver? And can we go all the way, everybody spread out? Can we run power? Can we do everything? And if you're a defense, you have to then take the shots from every different angle where that's going to be coming from. So they use the personnel they needed to. Tight ends are really good. And then it was very good to see open field tackling, specifically at the line of scrimmage, be really good. And I think the guys
that's rare in week 1, right?
It's rare in week 1, especially against a team like Kansas State, against guys that are as shifty as they are. But I think the guys that stood out to me were Caleb Bacon and then Carson Willick. Not enough people have talked about Carson Willick's return. Go back and watch that game and just watch Carson Willick. I think he's number 14. Watch how hard he impacts everything. And I'm not talking impact as in like, man, that's an impactful. I mean physically impact.
You can see how he gets injured.
Yeah, he hits everything hard. And so if you're trying to wear an opponent down, it's like, I'm sick of. That's what Jeremiah George was that to me. Like, I was so freaking sick of hitting 52 because he's going to hit you full freaking speed all the time. And like that, Carson Willick does that. And so you then impact and you take everything on. Like, it's just this cumulative weight. So they were really sharp. They played and called a game that was effective to the level that to the strengths that they have. And then they were super, super physical on defense. And offensively, their offensive line got a lot better. But I don't know what the time of possession was, but I did go back and do a hidden yardage thing. Just shout out to Kicking It for doing it. I didn't adjust it for anything. But hidden yardage, Aiden, do you want to guess? Raw hidden yardage, not adjusted. Aiden, back to old days.
Oh, man. Okay, let's see.
Actually, I take that back. I did do one adjusted. To kneel out at the end of the first half.
Okay. Well, let's see. Iowa State started in K-State territory 3 times. Iowa State plus 80.
Iowa State plus 120. So you have just this constant pressure, offensively, defensively, and special teams, that towards the end of the game, you're constantly, as a defense, kind of like sumo wrestlers. Your feet are almost always in the chalk all the way around. And eventually you start getting tired because you can't dictate, you can't go press, you have to react all the time. So the offensive got a lot, offensive line played really well, but it was just, I don't know, consistent pressure all the way around, complimentary football. I don't know, it's a lot of rambling takes. It's first, I'm out of practice talking Iowa State, but it was a well-executed physical game that they used the strengths that they had in order to do what they needed to do against a Kansas State team that is explosive.
It's also weird when you look at Rocco Beck's box score from that game, it doesn't tell an accurate story. You go 50%, like, well, the narrative all offseason put out by people like me is that Rocco needed to be at 65% this year. But there were a lot of drops, and I also think I think there's got to be some sort of reality where losing Higgins and Knoll, first time out there, live bullets, feeling everything out, rain. I think Rocco probably held on to the football a little bit too long in the first half. It's kind of like the offensive line. You look at it and you go, 4 sacks. Well, one of them, the running back whipped on a blocker that he wanted on an assignment. You know, I thought Rocco held on to the ball too long. And then I would give the offensive line 2 of those. But back to Rocco. I thought, what I loved about that game was that he just went out and took it. That game was up for grabs, and Iowa State went out and, as funny. I texted my wife, shout out to her. And when they got the ball back up 3 with, 8 to go or whatever it was, I said, just go and take the effing thing. And they did, right? And, like, you can't replicate the trust that Mauser and Campbell have with Rocco.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's like, we'll talk about some of the other Big 12 contenders. Arizona State has that.
Mm-hmm. With Levitt.
Does Texas Tech have that? We'll find out. I don't think so, but I think they're going to win in other ways. We'll find out. Does Kansas have that with Daniels?
If he's healthy.
I think he's really good. Do they trust him? Like, right? Like, yeah, and is he healthy? He doesn't have that. I don't know if I trust him like I do Rocco or like I do Levitt. Trying to go through some of the other contenders in my head, but that's
Kansas State and Utah would be the other ones that kind of come to mind. And Baylor with Sawyer Robertson, I would
trust Baylor. And maybe TCU even. I think that they really like him.
Is Hoover? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah. But I don't think I would put Kansas State and Utah in that category yet. I mean, Avery Johnson's really talented, but do you trust him fully? I don't think you're there. So, like, that is such a big deal. If the defense is as good as we think it's going to be, if they got to stay healthy up front. They're a Dominique Orange injury away from being very, very below average, I think, on the defensive line. But the Rocco thing is such an X factor to me. Like, I think that I trust him more in a big spot than I did Brock Purdy, which is a big. But Brock would just do these things where he's so good, but then he just loses his mind, right? Like, and Rocco gets better as the game goes on. He always plays his best football in the fourth quarter, and you're going to see that team go for it on fourth down a lot this year. Real
Taman Lipsey second half, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
It's that winning plays. Was it fourth down? Was it third or fourth down? It's like 3rd and 3 where they went to that bunch set where everybody's tight. They run essentially a delayed release with Burkle, and Rocco has to put it high in order to keep it away from a defender. And then Burkle actually then goes to get it, doesn't really run with it at all, but you're just trying to get the first down. Like, that play, that ball needs to be exactly where it was. It's not a flashy play. You're not trying to score a touchdown on that play. It's a winning play. Convert the down. Get a first down. I use this when and I'll probably use it on Saturday, but I don't know exactly where it is. But I like to use a term like the term exchange rate, where you could buy something in euros or you could buy something in dollars. And at various points, one is worth more than the other. The two things that you can use to purchase a win are points and time. You need to have more points when the time runs out. And at the time when they got the ball back at the end of the game, time was more valuable than points. So you're doing everything you can to maximize the amount of time that you have the ball. Rocco, the thing that he does really well is he understands that exchange rate. When do we need to score? How long do we need to score? What's the availability I have to miss this play? Do I need to miss the ball high and outside? Do I need to put this ball, a little bit above where a defender's at, and if it lands on the grass, it lands on the grass? It's the kind of stuff that Tiger would do and Scotty Scheffler does golfing. Is what shot is required right now? It needs to be 207 yards. Hit a 207-yard shot. It doesn't have to be 300. And that's like, Rocco is just so good at hitting the shot that's needed. It's the Taman Lipsey winning plays. It's understanding exactly what needs to happen in this moment. And whether it's his dad being a coach and a player growing up, whether it's just the way he is.
That helps, doesn't it?
But like, knowing so much of what the moment requires and then stepping up to meet that moment, that to me is, I mean, like I said, I would trust Rocco really more than most. Like, find me another college quarterback, just kind of mentally scan across the country. Who would you trust as much as Rocco? Like, last year, you'd say like a guy like Dylan Gabriel. I wouldn't have put Will Howard in that mix until he actually showed it. A guy like Quinn Ewers, maybe, but like, who else would you put in the I trust him that much category?
I mean, it's really difficult in college football now to find continuity in coaching staffs and personnel, especially at key positions. Right? Like,
yeah.
And that's where, like, to me, I thought Matt said it pretty well after his game, on TV about about that. And really, like, what's the other side of the state? We have a lot of Iowa fans that listen to this show. They've seen this, not necessarily with offense, but like that coaching continuity to me is just such a big deal. Like, I think of our mutual friend Austin Arnaud, and like, talk about a guy who didn't have a chance. And he had a good career at Iowa State. I think it could have been a lot better. How many quarterback coaches did he have? How many offensive coordinators did he have in that time? He could have been so much better. Austin could have. And Rocco and Mauser have this connection where, that's a good question, Jeff. How many coaches across the country would put your quarterback out there in that situation on 4th and 3, say we're going for it, and let him call the play?
Yeah, I mean, that's
pretty rare.
Comes to mind, like Sam Levitt at Arizona State. I don't think Arch has gotten enough, but he's got not enough reps. Like if you think about, Arch had to come in against Georgia last year, right? Because Quinn Ewers just got a little bit dinged up, or maybe it was just a substitute package where he was the runner and they're trying to use quarterback run in this particular play. He fumbled the ball in the SEC championship game in the one snap that he came in. Do you trust him?
No.
No. Carson
it's
Beck.
It's a little Avery Johnson-ish. It's like, he has the talent, but
exactly. And then Carson Beck transfers from Georgia over to Miami. Do you trust him? Not yet. I don't. And like, there's not enough continuity, and that to me is like one of the things. So used to the thing with Mike Leach that I really like that Matt Campbell has in a different sense is, why not? Why are we doing this? Like, constantly looking at a thing and kind of taking it apart, kind of like an Iron Man where he spins apart the helmet to look at all the pieces inside of it. Because why is this here? Why are we doing this? Why do we need to do that? Why do I need to play 3 wide receivers when I have 4 tight ends that work? I'm going to put 4 tight ends that work. Mike Leach, why am I going to run the ball when I don't have an offensive line that can effectively give me run game when I can pick up 4 yards on a pass with this? Why do my tight offensive line splits need to be 3 feet when I can put them at 3 yards? And you can just think, why not? And that why not part of it is,
well,
why do we need to buy a team?
Iowa State played 4 tight ends at a handful of snaps on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And between Burkle and Bramer and Alexander, I mean, I think
and then they have that Roskop or what? He's the new and Moore, like they're the new Sion Buckner Sainer role,
right?
But like, I traditionally hate it. I don't have a problem with tight ends. Okay, I actually like tight ends because they're versatile and. Okay, go ahead, laugh at that one.
That's fine.
I like tight ends.
It's fine. You can say it to the audience.
I like loose ends too.
It's fine.
It's fine. The thing I don't like is when you put everything in a box. And I don't like it when you shorten the field and make it so the defense has less to defend. This is vintage Mummy Leach. What they did on Saturday, they were so versatile. Like lining Bramer up in the slot and Burkle up in the slot, and then, oh my God, because then you have these downfield blockers. I'm kind of in love with it. And there's nobody else doing it either.
No one else.
That's what I love about it.
Again, it's the asking why. Why do we need to put, okay, we're in 11 personnel. Why are we in 11 personnel? Well, we got better tight ends and we got wide receivers currently. Trust them more. Let's put them out there. And the thing that tight ends do from a real dork perspective, and Alan Nazard is a guy that's like, he's not a tight end, but that's kind of you put him in that same category.
He's kind of Bramer, really.
Right. Bramer, Alan Nazard's probably, I mean, you can't really compare the two exactly yet because Bramer's not got enough snaps. But if I don't know, Jalen Knoll, tough dude. If he's 4 yards off the tackle, but he's on the line of scrimmage, are you counting him as a defensive player, as someone you have to worry about in the blocking scheme? No. Like Jalen Knoll, if I'm a linebacker, if I'm Jay Higgins at Iowa, and I see Jalen Knoll, and I have a run fit that somewhat involves, it's between him and the wide receiver, the C gap or D gap that I'm out there, somewhere out there. Do I need to concern myself with the fact that Jalen Knoll's out there? No, he's kind of there. I can run through him, and I'm still going to make the tackle. Would Carson Willett care that there's a slot receiver there? No. Would you care if that's Gabe Burkle at 6'5", 250 pounds? Now it matters. And okay, so if he's out there, is he a blocker? Is he running a route? Now we trade motion. We put 2 guys on the other side, and one of them's tight, and now one of them motions back in. Where are my run fits? Like, that's the kind of stuff that you run into when you have a bunch of tight ends that can do a whole bunch of stuff, to use that term multiple again, that like you run into a bunch of mismatches in the run game and in the passing game that you have to keep your head in a swivel if you're a defensive player that Iowa State's offense is taking advantage of. And the more they do that, the more one-on-ones they're going to get with their wide receivers, and the more Dom Overby is going to be able to play one-on-one, and Eskilson's going to be able to play one-on-one, and Sewell is going to be like, the more they're playing one-on-one, because your safeties now have to concern themselves with that slot receiver being 6'7", 255 pounds. That's not a slot receiver anymore, but he can do the things a slot receiver can do. So it's a unique, fun offense that I'm excited to see as you kind of step forward into the season. This is not a cakewalk with South Dakota. And then you go against Iowa, which is a completely different test. I don't mean worse. I mean different. They play different. They play defense different than everybody else in the country, the way their rules are set up. So if you can play against a Kansas State and against an Iowa, and you can be successful against both and be more physical than both, that really bodes well for the rest of the conference, or the rest of the conference season.
Well, Jeff, this is fun. I'm proud of you, man. I'm really happy for you and your wife, and love all you guys. You know that. And I'll be getting off of Cyclone Reaction right around when you kick off on Saturday. So if I don't get to see the start, I'll go back and watch it. All right, buddy?
Yeah, we'll do. And I got a telestrator. You know that?
Nice.
I get a telestrator. Got the email today.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Those people at ESPN have no idea what they just did.
Oh, man, they just unleashed a demon.
All right, brother. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Jeff Woody, ESPN Plus on Saturday night at 6:30. He'll be on the Texas Tech call. And we'll maybe try and get you on a little bit next week, too, to do a little Cyhawk, if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
because I
absolutely.
think that's going to be a huge game. I mean, assuming both these teams get out of Saturday, and that'll be one of the biggest Cyhawk games ever. So looking forward to it. Thanks, Jeff. Love you. Appreciate you. Aiden Wyatt, of course, producing. We are presented by Steeple Ridge Bourbon in the Channel Seed Studios. For Jeff Woody, Chris Williams here. Thanks for watching. Later.